It's Two on the Aisle with me, Charles Gross, and Leslie Hoban Blake. Tonight, Jeff Goodman joins us for reviews of One Man, Two Governors, nice work if you can get it, The Columnist, and Streetcar Named Desire. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Two on the Aisle. Good evening, I'm Charles Gross, and welcome to Two on the Aisle. And look who we have tonight.
I'm Jeff Goodman.
Jeff!
What am I doing back?
You're back!
Oh my God.
But Jeff, you're not all back.
This is true.
There's so much less. You're like a shell and a half of your former self.
I don't know.
Well, how much weight have you lost?
So far, 120 pounds.
And counting.
Yes.
Okay, that's impressive.
So we're hoping for this. I can now fit more comfortably in theater seats.
Well, now let's see if your new svelte self still has what it takes.
My what?
New svelte self.
Oh, my new svelte self?
Yes, can you say that 3 times fast?
I know, because I have a new svelte self.
All right. Shall we start with the columnist?
Then I've also felt my new svelte self.
There's less to feel now.
That's true.
Okay, so why don't we start with The Columnist?
Okay.
By David Auburn, and this is...
the author of Proof.
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 Okay. And is this as good as Proof?
No.
Okay. Now, this is about a biographical play about the columnist Jacob Alsop, who was... Alsop, excuse me. Who was a very famous columnist in the late 50s, early 60s, into the 70s.
He was very powerful.
Powerful, yes.
He and his brother used to do a syndicated column that was in many, many papers, and he was a staunch supporter of the Vietnamese War.
Yes.
Or the war in Vietnam.
Right. And as the play reminds us, he was also gay.
And a friend of Jack Kennedy's.
Yes.
Well, more actually not of Jack Kennedy's, most of Jacqueline
Kennedy.
And here
lies the problem. Oh, by the way, John Lithgow is playing this role.
Yeah. Well, it's a great cast. Read off the cast, please.
Okay. Well, it's John Lithgow.
Brother.
Roy Gaines.
Brother.
Margaret Collin.
Who?
Margaret Collin. Let's see, Grace Gummer.
Yes.
As his stepdaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
And who is Grace Gummer?
She's an actress and a very good one.
I thought you told me she's someone's daughter.
Meryl Streep's daughter, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so it is partially hereditary. And here's what the problem that I have with this play. It's that he was gay, and that is a major focus of the play. How he
the thing is, you have to realize this was a very big scandal in the 60s, that what happened is he was a closeted gay man,
right,
and he went to Moscow, and the KGB set him up with this guy, and he slept with this guy, and they got pictures and all sorts of stuff, and they tried to threaten him, you know, because they wanted him, because he was such a famous and powerful journalist, they wanted to blackmail him. But the problem that I think you were going at is every single interesting part of his life isn't on stage.
Well, they show
it's like, I mean, my God, they sit there before, Kennedy wins the election and goes, oh, maybe Jack Kennedy will show up at the House. Maybe he'll show up, maybe he'll show up. Oh, he's here. End scene. What? It's like...
Well, they show him at the peak of his power, but they don't show how he got there. They don't show, you know, the struggle, how he rose, and why was he so
I don't think
popular
that was.
to begin
I don't
with.
think that was an important aspect of the play. I think seeing his
obviously
demise.
not, because they didn't
I
show
think seeing his demise was much more. But I think they focused. I was very surprised that they focused on all the wrong parts. I did not. I thought his characterization was wonderful.
Yes.
I really thought he and his brother were portrayed wonderfully.
Yes, Boyd Gaines is the brother.
Yes,
excellent, as usual.
And the whole thing with his wife and his beard, as it were, his wife and his stepdaughter.
Margaret Cullen as the wife, Grace Gummer as the stepdaughter, both excellent performances.
I mean, he sets that up fine, but there's not much interesting happening on stage.
Yes.
That's the problem. And the most interesting parts were the first scene where you see him meeting this KGB agent. Well, he's not really a KGB agent.
Well, they've already met and they're in bed together.
Well, yes. But it's the end of their evening together. And then their meeting in the park years later is a phenomenal scene.
Yes.
But in between, it is boring. It's just these...
I wouldn't call it boring, but, you know, given who he was, they don't seem... And they, you know, Vietnam, to an extent, was his downfall because his support of the war cost him a lot of his support. He became less relevant.
Well, he became... You know, he was, not that he was less relative, relative. Oh my God, relevant. Excuse me. But it's not that he became less relevant, but he was not taking the popular side. He was a hawk from day one. He was a Democrat who actually liked Nixon. He became very much he was on the wrong side of history, which is okay.
And he didn't like Johnson either.
No, well, not a lot of people did. That's the problem. I mean, if you read the books about Johnson, there's a wonderful book on his presidency. There's like 8 books on his presidency. It's a very interesting thing. The only way he thought Johnson could get into office, the reason he took the vice presidency, he says, well, about there's 10% chance of the president getting killed or dying in office. That's the only way Johnson was going to become president. But anyway, and again, they don't even talk about that. I mean, there's so many more interesting points of this decade and this point in time than what they put on stage. And yeah, it was interesting, his relationship with his wife, and it's interesting his relationship with Jackie Kennedy. But they didn't show it, and there was so much missing.
And also, even though you see him typing and you see flashes of his column coming up,
the direction I thought it's strange because I thought
that doesn't seem to be they don't focus on that as strongly as I would have liked to have seen.
I mean, I thought the direction of having those columns on the scrim on stage was brilliant.
Nice.
I thought the sets were amazing.
But I would have liked to have known more about the columns themselves.
That would have been nice. I mean, they didn't give his political views as much as you would think. It was really his personal life, which was, it would have been okay, but they didn't show the whole KGB influence and the whole blackmailing.
Well, you see at the end he says, I knew about that and I circulated the photos myself to basically short circuit. So the impression that we get from the play is that really was not a fact.
But did he really? You know what I mean? And
again, we're talking, what we see.
Well,
on
this
stage.
is what I expected from the author of Proof. I expected to have some questions, and I wanted to have doubt in my mind on certain things.
Doubt is another play.
I know you would bring that up, but I really thought that he could have really just put something else out there.
We have to move on. So your conclusion?
Okay. Great characterizations. Didn't like the play so much. Really good directions. It just missed the mark for me.
Okay.
So I would give it like 2.5.
All right. I would go so far as to say 3, but I think I agree with your conclusion 100%.
Sorry. And I really like John Lithgow.
Yes. Well, his columnist reminds me of a similar character he played in the...
And Butterfly?
No. Try again. It was a musical.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
One more time. Sweet Smell of Success?
Yes. Well, of course, it was the same character. Well, different name.